Hey everybody, it's X, and welcome back to another traditional draft of Khans of Tarkir. Without further ado, let's get into our pack 1, pick 1, gigantic bomb rare mythic. It's a lot of mana at 7 mana, but you get to flash this in uncounterably, eat up your opponent's biggest attacker, and leave behind a gigantic 6/7 prowess that can even bounce itself back to your hand if you need to protect it from removal super badly. So Pearl Lake Ancient, really fun, really strong card in the top end of any blue deck. We're going to scoop that up, but Master the Way and Nomad Outpost are some other really good options. Nomad Outpost being the really flexible one, being super good mana fixing for most decks in the format, and Master the Way just being a really good value removal spell. So Pearl Lake Ancient will start things off. For pack 1, pick 2, we've got a Jeskai Wind Scout to go with it. I think this is a perfectly serviceable blue common. I have been generally impressed by the card. Just evasive cards like Flyers have played pretty well in the format, as they do in most draft sets. And this does have that nice little Jeskai ability of the prowess triggers as you're casting your spell, so I think I'll take that. Teamer Charm is fine, but I think it's like the weakest of the charms, because it's a fight spell instead of just a straight up removal spell. The counterspell part's a little bit narrow, the unblockable part's a little bit narrow, so it's not really as good as you would want for the restrictive mana cost. I think like Abzan Charm is the best one, where all 3 modes on that one are like pretty nuts. But that's probably the next best card here, because it's probably like maybe a little bit stronger than Jeskai Wind Scout. It's just much more narrow, so it's not really paying for the narrowness of its mana cost with a bunch of extra power. The rest of the pack is like a big dud here, honestly. It's just a Wind Scout and a Teamer Charm. For pack 1, pick 3, we've got a Thornwood Falls and a Swiftwater Cliffs, which are both pretty high picks because these enemy-colored dual lands are going to make sure that you get some fixing in multiple different clans in the format. So this would help us out in Jeskai or Teamer. This would help us out in Teamer or Sultai. There's also a Dead Drop here, which I have really enjoyed, but this card has tended to go really late. I don't know if it will in this draft pod. I can cross my fingers and hope, but I think your first copy of Dead Drop plays incredibly well in almost any deck. Having just one player, just your opponent, sacrifice 2 creatures is a really huge swing in most games. Obviously, it's not good against the Mardu decks spreading out the board with a bunch of 1/1 soldiers and warriors and goblins and all that kind of stuff, but any other clan of Tarkir, you can just really annihilate them late game with a Dead Drop and swing the game in your favor. So I'm just going to take one of these blue duels. I'll go for the blue-red duel just because I know myself and I end up playing red a little more often than green. But really, you could coin flip between the 2 duels, and I think they'd both be super reasonable options. Or just take the Dead Drop if you are convinced you're not going to be able to get a copy later in the draft. But I think we might be able to if we end up in Sultai. For pack 1, pick 4, we've got a Pine Walker, one of the biggest, beefiest morphs. It also helps all of your other morphs. They get to untap themselves every time you flip them. This seems perfectly fine. Heading towards blue-green instead of blue-red now, which is a little awkward, but I think the green card's significantly better than the red ones. Well, War Shrieker is pretty good. If you have a bunch of morphs in your deck and you're pretty aggressive, you attack in, drop the War Shrieker, drop a morph with it, and dump your hand really quick. But I think in blue, we're probably not going to be in a play pattern where we're using Mardu War Shrieker super well. Pick number 5. Still found Cancel to be immensely filler, even in this format. We are in a traditional draft, so it could be in the sideboard, but I don't like the Snakeskin much. Awaken the Bear's fine, Parapet's fine. Nothing great here. Something kind of filler no matter what, or the Mardu War Shrieker, which, again, I don't think it's super good with blue, but I like it in basically every other red deck in the format. And I've used it in plenty of blue-red decks. Yeah, I feel like I like War Shrieker enough to take it over anything else here. Nothing great. Pick number 6, nothing great. Savage Punch is perfectly reasonable if we end up in Teamer, blue, red, green, so we'll take that. Ponyback Brigade, super reasonable on Mardu. Actually a pretty good role filler for those decks that want a super wide board of creatures, but I think those are the best 2 cards for sure. Followed by the Dual Land. That Dual Land not super good though, because it's an allied colored Dual Land. In green-white, the only clan it's going to help is Abzan. So Alpine Grizzly and Savage Punch go together like peanut butter and jelly. the more Savage Punches you have, the better Alpine Grizzlies get. The more Alpine Grizzlies get, the better Savage Punches become. When you've got one or the other card is going to move up quite a bit in your pick order. So we'll pick up the Dream Team here. Grizzly plus the Savage Punch. Pick number 8, super filler stuff all around. Large Morpher to flip up. Some big green beef with tusked Colossadon. Or we could just take a Tranquil Cove in case we end up in Jeskai. That's the only place that's going to help us mana fix. I feel like the Archer and the Colossadon are going to be super filler, as will the Sandbar, so I'll just take more fixing, just in case we end up in that color trio. I'll take another Jeskai Wind Scout over an Alpine Grizzly number 2, I think. Although I do have that Savage Punch. How much do we go on the Savage Punch plan just right off the bat? Green, blue, Alpine Grizzly, Tempo, Savage Punch the deck? You know what? Sure. I'll take another Alpine Grizzly. Pick number 10. Basically nothing here. I'll take the Morph card. Pick 11, basically nothing. A very slow defensive Morph card or another Alpine Grizzly. Now I kind of wish I took the other Jeskai Wind Scout if I knew I was going to wheel every Alpine Grizzly in the pod. Alright. Pack number 2, pick number 1. We've got a Teamer Charm again. I don't really like our red cards, our Mardu Warshrieker and our Canyon Lurkers. I do like Mardu Warshrieker, but I don't really like it with our blue and our green cards, so I don't love our Teamer plan, but Debilitating Injury and moving towards Sultai seems reasonable to me. The Debilitating Injury's been a very good removal spell. It reads as super inefficient, but this is a format with tons of 2 toughness creatures at 3 mana because of all of the morphs running around, plus even non-morph creatures back in the day, back when this set came out, were mostly kind of lower toughness, so I like Debilitating Injury quite a lot. I think it's worth potentially pushing towards Sultai instead of Teamer, because we just haven't seen a lot of great red to synergize with our green and blue cards. Maybe we can get some black to do so. Pack 2, pick 2, Abzan Falconer is by far the best card, followed by Mardu Horde Chief. So pretty sad to be in a position that we're not likely to be able to end up in white, but we could end up in Jeskai, blue, red, white. It's unlikely, but the only thing we're taking in Sultai is something pretty filler, like a 4th copy of Alpine Grizzly, or our first Awaken the Bear or something, so I'll take this Abzan Falconer. Pack 2, pick 3, wow, Armament Core now? Do I just full pivot into Abzan? Armament Core is the strongest card in this pack by a good portion. Second best card is probably Alabaster Kieran. Not a super great pack. Secret Plans would be the closest to what we're doing right now, but we only have like 1 morph out of blue or green. And if we're playing blue, green, red, then we have 2 morphs. We have Canyon Lurkers and the Pine Walker, so we're pretty far from Secret Plans for trying to go all in on it. Pack 2, pick 3. I'm going to try a full pivot here. We'll just see if we can get there or not. Who knows? Probably not, but maybe. Now we get an Alabaster Kieran or Force Away towards our blue-green deck. Force Away is really good for like a blue-green tempo deck, whereas Kieran's just solid for an Abzan deck. Sure, I'll take Force Away. Like, worst case scenario, those last few picks, it's not like there was anything very good on color anyway to make those random Abzan speculations. Disdainful Stroke for the sideboard could be okay. I do like Sign of Glaciers, just the stat line plays pretty well for defensive decks. If we go full 5 color, Mardu Ascendancy is a pretty strong card, but need to get a lot of attacks in for it to do anything. I'll just take the Scion. Pack 2, pick 6, Sultai Scavenger is one of the best cards here. Just a big flyer you can cast for cheap sometimes. Pack 2, pick 7, take a Smoke Teller for blue-green tempo, aggro stuff. Parapet's fine if you're trying to be slower. But I think with Triple Grizzly, we're trying to tempo people out and beat down with our 2-drops. Okay. Another Smoke Teller now. Take some of these random Dragon Scale boons and stuff later too. I think we are blue-green tempo at this point. She's going to be just resolving some early beef and then playing like blue bounce spells and counter spells against their late game plays to keep our opponent off kilter and just kill them before they do much of anything. Seems like a perfectly reasonable plan with the makeup of our deck. Yeah, I don't even have to splash black. At least not for double black like Ride of the Serpent. We're probably putting the Sultai Scavenger in basically no matter what. At which case we probably want to put Debilitating Injury in. Maybe with blue and green as the core colors of our deck, we can use Embodiment to get a swamp out. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. Ice Feather Aven is a great card for a blue-green tempo deck. Just playing it as a 2-mana 2/2 flyer is pretty good in this format just for beating down, but also if you do want to morph it and flip something up, bounce something back up into your opponent's hand, it's a pretty solid tempo play against a lot of big, expensive spells that do exist in the format. So I'll take Ice Feather Aven here, sadly over a Herald of Anafenza, which is a very, very strong rare, but we are not playing white as a core color at this point. We're pretty committed. So Ice Feather Aven it is. Now a Mistfire Weaver is another good flying threat to finish the game off with. Again, we can also morph it on 3, and sometimes flipping this up can be an absolute blowout, countering an opponent's removal spell. So very similar to the Ice Feather Aven, where we should always be happy to just cast it and beat down with it as a flyer, but the backup morph plan is also quite good. Pack 3, pick 3, Glacial Stalker, just more 5-mana beef to top off the curve, I think. With how many Alpine Grizzlies have gone super late, I imagine we're going to get this one back. If we do want a 4th. Splashing a little bit of red to flip up some Snowhorn Riders could be a thing. I've got a blue-red land, but I could also just take a 4th Grizzly. I'll just take a 4th Grizzly. Or another Debilitating Injury, actually, towards splashing a little black for the Sultai Scavenger and stuff. I think the black splash looks stronger than the red splash. Let's take an injury. And that'll make the black splash definitely stronger than the red one if we can find a little fixing towards it. Heir of the Wilds is another card that is awesome with Alpine Grizzly. Curve out with this is a 2-mana 2/2 Death Touch, then by the time you're attacking with it, it's a 3/3 Death Touch on attackers. Really, if you can get the Ferocious trigger on this card, it plays pretty well in the format. The most common way to kill a 3/3 is going to be blocking it with 2 2/2s. And if your opponent does that, you're going to kill both of them because of the Death Touch. So I think Heir of the Wilds is great. I also think Force Away is great. And Set Adrift, but we can't really take one of these bounce spells over the pretty premium uncommon of the Heir of the Wilds. Pack 3, pick 6 is full of garbage. The only card I like is Mardu Warshrieker, and we're not in that direction at all anymore. So I guess we at least take Highland Game or Smoke Teller as just a strictly better version of the Wetland Sandbar. Take a Smoke Teller. There's a green-black duel. There we go. That'll help us towards our Debilitating Injury and Sultai Scavenger Splash. And that is the only fixing we're going to have, because this is pick 8 now, so that's all the fixing we were going to see. Another Awaken the Bear looks great for a tempo deck like this. Just bash in with 2/2s and slam down Awaken the Bears when they block. Pick number 9. It's all butts. Maybe a Naturalize for the sideboard? Of all things. I mean, any of these are going to be in the sideboard. Naturalize sounds kind of funny to me since we're in best of 3. Maybe that's a thing. Pearl Lake Ancient actually has ended up looking pretty awkward here. Or maybe the one blue deck that doesn't really want to make it to 7 mana ever. But I'll still run it. I'm going to play 17 lands and not 18, but I'm still going to run that thing because it's so big. I think we just cut Ride of the Serpent as the last card. We just use Debilitating Injuries on their small creatures and we Force Away or trample over their big ones. Did get the full playset of Alpine Grizzly. 5 Grizzlies, let's go! How can you survive so many bears? No one can. It's not possible. There's 4 smoke tellers too. Unbeatable deck. Unbeatable. Alright, I'm taking another look at this deck. And I'm coming to a sad conclusion. That is, I really don't think we should actually be playing the Pearl Lake Ancient. But there's other cards we can cut first, like Glacial Stalker, Sagu Archer, just some of the top end get really low here. I kind of want to drop down to 16 lands is the problem. Cut one of these smoke tellers, maybe. I guess if I cut down to 16 lands, I only get to cut 2 cards. Because I need something to replace the land that I'm cutting. I guess, yeah, I'd rather cut like a Glacial Stalker, a Sagu Archer, and 1 smoke teller than cut 1 land here. In which case, like, the Pearl Lake Ancient just kind of sits here, because I think I would rather have that in there than those other cards I cut. Maybe a 4th Smoke Teller's better for curve reasons. Cancel's probably not the greatest here. We don't do anything with this until we've already dumped all of our creatures out, because that's going to be our general game plan, is just unloading the hand all the time. I don't know. I'm just going to start the deck like this. It's probably wishful thinking, keeping the Pearl Lake Ancient in, and the best build of this deck is to remove this and throw in another Smoke Teller, or I don't know, remove this, throw in Smoke Teller and Sandbar, cut another land, something like that. But I'm keeping it in. I'm keeping it in. It was our pack 1 pick 1. It's a cool, fun card. 7 mana, Leviathan. We'll see if we end up casting it at all today. Alright, here's a look at the final deck list for today. We're on a green-blue tempo build with a little bit of a black splash here. We're splashing in a little bit of cheap removal, as well as the big flying finisher of the Sultai Scavenger. But the core of the deck is just a stack of Alpine Grizzlies to beat down. So with those, we can use cards like Savage Punch and Awaken the Bear to break through our opponent's blockers and deal a ton of damage super quickly, hopefully kill our opponent before they really get anything going. That is the whole point of tempo kind of stuff. Keep them off keel. Whatever they play, just come in under it with removal and bounce spells. Pretty similar to like an aggro deck. Definitely an aggro tempo build here. But cool stuff all around. Multiple ways to bounce things with Ice Feather, Aven, and Force Away. Multiple ways to get our small creatures to trample over and beat through with Awaken the Bears and Savage Punches. And tons of creatures that could potentially trade above their mana value. They can also trade below their mana value, but hopefully with the right cards in the right positions, we can get some nice trades going. So without further ado, let's head into the gameplay and see how it does. All right, here we are on the draw for game 1, but with a really nice hand. Smoke Teller into Alpine Grizzly with the Awaken the Bear to leverage there, and the Ice Feather Aven to flip something up later. Potentially just playing this as a 2-mana 2/2 flyer might be ideal over dropping Smoke Teller turn 2. Yeah, if our opponent starts with double white where they might be stuck off of mana here, could just get beating down here before they can really set anything up. All right, there's the red source, there's the Mardu banner, which will fix their mana. But now we're beating in for 2 in the sky every turn, and we're slamming down a 4/2 to trample through with the Awaken the Bear next turn. Turn 5, we can play a Smoke Teller and a face-down Pine Walker. Ankle Shanker by itself is not going to be great here. They might even have to just trade it into an Alpine Grizzly. I genuinely think that trade is pretty favored for us. I'm just going to let it happen rather than Awakening here, so I can be mana efficient playing 2 Smoke Tellers instead. Getting this hand dump, just dropping a Pine Walker next turn. There's an Abzan Battle Priest. Okay, this looks like a really good matchup for us, because that's another creature that costs them 4 or 5 mana but trades down into one of our 2-drops because they're on the defensive here. Feat of Resistance helps them quite a lot because they get lifelink as well. Alright, well, I like everything in their deck except Feat of Resistance. That's incredibly good against us, and just incredibly good in general. Monumentally good on this board state, because it gives lifelink to the Battle Priest while it gives it protection. Alright, Unyielding Krumar on blocks now. Right. Injury it, and all they can do is chump. Keep the Awaken the Bear for later. And they just trump the 5/5. Already forced into chumping the 5/5 if I just don't attack with Smoke Teller. That lifeling's going to be hard to erase. I'm tempted to injury the Battle Priest. Debilitating Injury plays really bad against Feat of Resistance. I can't lethal them, can I? Well, if I cast both of these, I can, right? Wait, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? No, no way. There's 16 from all their life gain? God dang. This Battle Priest is just going to solo us. I think I need to slow down the life gain. And now I'm threatening to trade Smoke Teller into it as well. Just gonna have another Feat of Resistance. If this is a like 3 copies of Feat of Resistance deck, we're gonna have issues. No Feat of Resistance. That's a start. It's a big start. Maybe they have a Dutiful Return in hand, pick up the Ankle Shanker and the Battle Priest. Dead drop. Oh. Well, we only need to draw... Well, they've got a Mardu banner to draw another card. I was going to say we only need to really draw 1 creature to kill them, but... They're actually 2 cards ahead, not 1 card ahead, because the banner counts as a card. Well, that's what I was talking about with Dead Drop. Card is absolutely disgusting. Top deck... The first top deck of the top deck was Mardu Rough Rider for our opponent. It was land for us. Drop a face down pass turn and hope they top deck removal so we can counter their removal spell by flipping here. The only other option is playing this face up, and then I can't block with it anyway, even if I wanted to, which I don't because it wouldn't kill either of these. So we're down to 6. Another Unyielding Krumar. Alright, that's dead. That was a bummer. I mean, so Dead Drop's insane, but overall, I think our deck is favored. Feat of Resistance, Abzan, Battle Priest, and Dead Drop are like really premium cards, but these Krumars are just not great, and I don't think they line up well against us. Banner's just not great. It's a lot of stuff that our deck is like tried to be manufactured to really punish. You know, like taking turns off, just dropping a banner, dropping low power toughness creatures later in the game, stuff like that. I don't think we really edited at all. I think we just jam. We just jam and draw a tiny bit better, have them draw a tiny bit worse. If they didn't have Feat of Resistance or if they didn't have Dead Drop, one of those 2 cards being something else could have completely changed the course of that game. Alright, here we are on the play for game 2 with an Auto Mole. This is also bad. But we don't have a blue card in it right now, so it's okay. Yeah. Technically fine. Without the blue source, I think we make it a 2-lander here. Alright, there's the Leaping Master. Did not see that last game. That's pretty good against our deck. Could technically be sideboarded in, but I doubt it. Usually main deck in Mardu. That is a snap no block. Mardu Horde Chief. That's incredibly gross. One of the best commons in the format. Savage Punch is definitely a good draw. We actually Smoke Teller Savage Punch to get more damage in, because if I Savage Punch with the Grizzly to make it 6 power, they can just block with the 1/1 to stop 6 damage. They're not going to, though. They're going to take the 10. Alright, let's injury the Leaping Master. Poke me for 1. I guess they really need to raid again, maybe? Yeah, Mardu, Skull Hunter. There goes Mistfire Weaver, but that's no blockers for them. They go to 4 here. No, one drop? This is a completely different deck. What the heck? A million tiny blockers? Oh dear. Yeah, this looks much more favored. We must have just seen literally all of their worst cards game 1. All the 4 mana 3/3s and banners and stuff. But this game they actually hit all their early game. Can trade Grizzly into a Hate Blade, where I can pass the turn. Blazebringer. Okay, that we didn't see all their worst stuff. Blazebringer's an incredibly bad card. Think it's gonna do fine work here though. Even if it's just 3 mana, deal 4 damage 1 time. Because I just don't got anything. Hit 3 of my splash color before my second blue, so Scion is rough. Blazebringer might have been out of the sideboard just as a defensive sideboard option. Oh, we're so dead. Attack with Rough Rider, shut off Scion's ability to block. I block 2 creatures. I go block, block, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go to 1. Oh, that's lethal. Oh my god, I had the chump there to still be in it for a turn. It doesn't matter. The only way we're gonna win is if we top deck Awaken the Bear and they don't play around it. Which feels unlikely. I don't know why I just brain farted that the Rough Rider was coming in this turn as well. Probably because they just hit us with these 2 the last like 3 turns in a row, so I just like assumed. Just like, yep, no blocks. No, Smoke Teller there, take 4, see if we top deck Awaken and they don't block. But I bet if I send in Grizzly, they block it with Blazebringer. I guess with Grizzly and Scion still around by chumping with Smoke Teller, top deck Awaken the Bear had a chance, so we had like a 1 in 10 or something. Not necessarily, because they still could have maybe killed us post-combat with an Arrow Storm or something. We'll never know, because I just forgot the block. Really funny way to end it, but I think that game was over more than 9 times out of 10 anyway. We had to top deck the perfect card and for them not to have a solution to it. Plus not have a way to kill us main phase 2 that turn, which is perfectly likely with Arrow Storm. Yeah, I think our deck played out pretty well. Obviously I didn't play perfectly. Probably in either game. In the first game, we had an Awaken the Bear that ended up just stuck in our hand in the end, so if we had used it earlier to save one of our creatures, we had tons of opportunities to do so. Then we would have been in a slightly better position. We still would have lost, but they would have dead dropped us down to 1 creature, so we still would have had a 4/2 or a 2/2 against their 3/3 first striker. Again, that's still very much a losing position with how each player drew after that. Plus, just on board, because that 3/3 could be a first striker, which could eat any of our 2/2s or 4/2s without even worrying. So, yeah, I mean, we could have played game 1 out slightly better and then still lost after the dead drop. And game 2, obviously, we could have gotten an extra turn in the end, but that was highly unlikely to matter regardless. I think, all being said, our deck played out perfectly fine. I think their deck played out a little bit better. It is what it is. Our deck's doing its thing. It was trying its best. the cards were functioning together as intended. That's all you can hope for. Just see if we can't draw a little bit of a quicker hand. I think the biggest killer really in the first round was just not being able to draw the follow through. Like each game, we managed to get so much damage in so quickly and get that initial onslaught going pretty crazy. But we just didn't manage to top deck the final follow through. We just hit like a little bit of a land clump each time, just kind of ran out of gas a bit. Maybe the 16 land version is better, but we don't really have any more cards we can put in that break through for the last 2 points of damage. All we can do is cut a land or two for another 2/2 to have more early game. So, I don't know. Here we can force away the Ancestor, but we still just end up trading into this face down. So I think I just drop my own Pine Walker for now. Well, I could just hardcast it next turn. I flip it up, it can attack though. But I won't have the mana to flip it up and bounce the Ancestor anyway. Sure, let's just force away. See what the face down is. It's a 5/3. So, alright then. Let's force away the Ancestor. I don't think trading a 4/2 into a 5/3 is a bad trade per se. I think I have to discard Pearl Lake Ancient. Because I kind of want to Savage Punch and hold up cancel next turn now. That is so sad. There's no way I can discard Pine Walker over Ancient, is there? It's a very greedy choice. Yeah, I don't think I can do that. Okay. Well, now I'm just attacking with a 2/2. Before I drew the Savage Punch, I was going to say trading a 4/2 into a 5/3 is a fine trade, but for their card to be a 5/3, they need to hit enough mana to flip it up anyway, so I don't actually think... I wouldn't actually be sure if we would want to trade there regardless. Ooh, Awaken the Bear? Okay. So I get to Savage Punch holding up Awaken the Bear now, which is enough to eat the Alpine Grizzly and trample over. There's going to be 5 toughness against the 4 power creature. Awaken the Bear was a beautiful draw. Awaken the Bear so my bear eats your bear, so we can bear while we bear. And they're down to 7 too. Another face down. Trade into the Grizzly. Highland game to gain them some life. Ew. Ew. Gross. I hate it. So now if I send in the Grizzly, it's going to trade into a Highland game. And if I don't send in the Grizzly, Smoke Teller is going to trade into a Highland game or just get blocked by an Ancestor and they have the time to flip this up. If this is like the lifelinker, that's just going to be GG. The 4/4 lifelink. And we play around that ourselves. I guess I play a Smoke Teller and a Morph here, so that I have an opportunity to flip up a 5/5 Morph to eat up their 4/4 lifelink, in case that is what their face down Morph card is. I could also spend 2 mana to see exactly what it is, and then just hold up a cancel. That is a hard sell, though. Alright, well, I played correctly. Regardless. The 5/5 untaps itself as well, so we attack in with that, just period here. Then I've got a 5/5 to... Ooh, I get to kill both? And then I have a 5/5 to block the 4/4 lifelink, unless they have removal. Alright, a path is kind of sort of clear now. Although they've got a 4/4 lifelinker still. Uh-oh. Delve removal for the Pine Walker? Yeah, Murderous Cut. That's bad. Grizzly can still trade into the Abzan Guide. Are you hitting all spells? It's a pretty easy way to fall behind if your opponent does not draw any non-spells. Just all spells the rest of the game. Oh, I guess I can't look at a face down and hold up cancel because the double blue restriction. So we're just on triple green grizzly and pass. And we can look at their face down during their end step. These draw lands. Unless you have a 6-drop in hand. But I would love for you to hit a land clump. Give me an opportunity. Wow. Oh. I don't get to hold up cancel if I look at what this thing is. Feel like I'd rather hold up cancel? Oh, come on, man. That is like the only morph that would be like, they would just definitely not attack if it's that one. So we don't block. Right. Counter the flyer. So they do not have a way to start killing us. Oh my god, alright. We've hit all the grizzlies. And their 4/4s have to get through our grizzly. Oh, they're hitting a land clump. Show me double combat trick. No? Alright. 2 cards left in hand still, though. But 12 damage on the crackback. Mardu Horde Chief, that's a good one to have. That kills one of the grizzlies. Trumps another one. Ooh, 5 toughness card. 5 toughness card. We are drawing straight gas right now. We obviously need to kill the 5-power creature. I guess I actually would have hit them for 2 more damage if I used it on the one that was getting blocked by a 2/3. So I could put them to 1. I didn't miss lethal. I could have put them to 1 there with the Awaken the Bear. So yeah, then it was definitely right. If using the trample against the 2/3 would have killed them, then obviously we'd want to use it there. But since it wouldn't, we just kill the bigger toughness creature. All right, really close game. Really close game. Those Abzan guides are kind of an issue, but with 5 Alpine Grizzlies, I guess we just trade those off. I think I could have played that out better. I could have attacked with the Grizzlies a turn sooner. I think it was correct to not block their morph and just still hold up the cancel, because I feel like attacking in with that, if it was a 4/4 lifelink, would be super weird. Because they know I could just look at it and then block with a 4/2. I guess then they would just not have to flip it, and then they play one of their raid cards. Yeah, okay, never mind. That explains it. They had 2 raid cards in their hand at the time, probably. So they really needed for either of those. That makes sense for raid abilities. Alright, anyways, I think we're just running it back like always. Yep. Best of 1 player in the best of 3 pods. Let's go. Run it back. Alright, well, we need a green source desperately. How many are we running? 7? That's a mulligan then. I mean, we're on the draw, but still, yeah. No! Alright. 5 card opener. Get out of here, double blue spell. We are going to have to draw even better than last game, and we drew pretty well last game, so. Kintree Warden, yeah, that is a game plan. Against the 5 Alpine Grizzly deck. Mistfire Weaver. We've got a flying threat we can play on turn 4. Play Grizzly on 3, Weaver on 4 is probably the play. We didn't see a ton of removal from our opponent as far as I remember. So I don't think going really slow for the kind of hexproof trick is going to be great. That is absolutely disgusting on their lifelinking morph cards. For 1 mana, make it a 4/4 morph, and then when they flip it up, it's a 6/6 lifelinker. Yeah, Ghost Fireblade is super nasty with morphs. No morphs yet this game. Force away. Savage Punch means 4 toughness. So if I Savage Punch one thing, they can block with the other. So we just cast the Mistfire Weaver then. For now. Because I'll have 4 toughness, but I'll have taken 3 damage, so I won't be able to attack in after casting Savage Punch unless I cast the Punch and the Force away. Like punch the Warden, force away the squad. Now that's looking reasonable. They're going to play it like that. Yeah. Punch Warden. They don't have regen mana. Force away the 4-drop squad. They're going to have to recast it for 4. Draw and discard. Discard the force. We've got a debilitating injury coming up. Should be great. Disowned Ancestor. 0-4 for now, but they put a Ghost Fireblade on it. I can block the Grizzly. If they tap out to do that, though, I can injury the Ancestor to keep attacking with Grizzly on the ground. They do not tap out for it. They drop a Sultai Scavenger, which is nasty because injury's not even going to help deal with that. So we just attack in here so they can't like Ghost Fireblade up the Scavenger and eat the Weaver without losing a creature. Alright, cool. Trade and they're down to 7. I'll play around the discard raid trigger. They were running a good amount of raid for an Abzan deck. I guess the only way they'd raid is by sacrificing their Ancestor, but they could put the Ghost Fireblade on it and then attack into the Death Toucher and it'd be a trade. Ooh. Hello. Death Touch Trample might randomly get us there. Three plus 4, right? Yeah, that's just exactsies. All right, well, that game, or that round, was basically the opposite of last round. Like, our deck was doing the same kind of stuff. We just drew a little bit more non-lands over lands, got a little more of the ways to break through, get that last bit of damage in, more force-aways and tramples, and... Alright, we've seen the bad end of our deck, the good end of our deck. Maybe round 3 is going to be right in the middle. Get a 2-1 or a 1-2, rather than a 2-0 or an 0-2. We'll see. It's been a fun deck, whatever happens here. It's been a solid time, 1-1, heading into the final round. Alright, here we are for the final round with the Alpine Grizzly deck. We're on the draw instead of on the play, so not going to be the greatest tempo ever. But I do like this hand a lot. Heir of the Wilds into Jeskai Wind Scout into the big Pine Walker later to buff up the air. Well, now we are tempted to drop Alpine Grizzly turn 3 instead of the Wind Scout, just to start buffing up that air on every attack. If they like send in with a Teamer Charger and then play a Morph, we'll absolutely play an Alpine Grizzly. Buff the air. Valley Dasher. That's cool too. I can try to outrace that with a debilitating injury in hand. Ooh, yes. Okay, I'm not going to say definitely. I can probably outrace that when I get to play Ice Feather Aven and debilitating injury on turn 4. That's going to be a very, very good turn. And then if we hit another forest, we get to play a Pine Walker turn 5, just face up. Temur Charm, fight the air. Well, that's a Death Toucher, so that's fine for us. Send in the Temur Charger. I will definitely crack back. Yeah, I think we're doing our... Ooh, not like that. We're doing our thing here. Debilitating Injury plus Ice Feather Aven. Shipping in the sky no matter what now. Nothing from our opponent here. They have to just take the 6. Let's go. They want more flying damage over anything else here. If I had double green, then I would slam down the Pine Walker, but since the options are playing it face down or playing the Wind Scout, I'd rather play the Wind Scout. Our opponent's just stuck on mana there. Probably some good beef at 5+ mana, but just not the mana to do it. From our opponent's Temur deck, seems like another good matchup. They're a Temur deck that couldn't do anything there late in the game because they had some big stuff. That's what we want to see. High mana value plays from our opponent so we can bounce them or just trample over and kill them before they get there. Run it back. Game number 2 of the final round. All right, I think our opponent was just not a fan of their mana situation in game 1, or they had some stuff they had to do and just closed out of arena, but they did time out of joining the second game of round 3, and that means we are 2-1 with the Sleuth of Bears, the stack of Alpine Grizzlies. So we're going to get 1,000 gems and 3 packs. Not the greatest prize out ever, because traditional drafts are a bit top heavy. You definitely want to get that 3-round win run. But I think this deck was pretty fun, and getting a winning record with it is nice. The Pearl Lake Ancient was almost definitely wrong. I don't think we ended a lot of those games in positions where Pearl Lake Ancient would have been a super good draw. So running a little more cheap stuff over that was probably correct. Yeah, overall, 5 Alpine Grizzlies with the Awaken the Bears and the Savage Punch to go with them was really fun. The ideal build of this kind of deck, if you want to really go for the Alpine Grizzly tempo plays, is probably like cut Scion of Glaciers and Pearl Lake Ancient, maybe even a land as well. Like cut these 3 and draft the Awaken the Bears and Savage Punches a little more highly. So like cut these 3 for another copy of Awaken, another copy of Savage Punch, and I don't know, some other more aggressive 4 or 5 mana creature. I think that would be like a pretty perfect looking blue-green Alpine Grizzly build. But for the most part, you got the gist of the deck here. Play that beef, trample on over, break through their board state, and get the maximum value out of the 4 power on those Alpine Grizzlies as possible. It's a pretty fun time. It's a pretty fun time. It's nice own little archetype there. And it's not even necessarily tied to green-blue. You can do like green-red as well. The core of the deck is really just a stack of Alpine Grizzlies, trampling combat tricks, and Savage Punches. So, cool deck. Fun to play around with it at least one time in this format. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.